You're listening to Living in Spain podcasts with David Wright.
So this morning I took a quick photograph as I was having a coffee of the neighbours having some painting done, and had three guys up on the roof terrace painting the house, and one of them climbed up on the parapet wall, leaned over with a great big long roller full of paint and started leaning down and painting the side of the house. Now he's 3 floors up. It was a bit of a heavy dew this morning, so the parapet wall on top, which is marble, so it's slippery, was wet, and the guy's up there with no safety harness on, leaning over painting the wall. The wind started to get up a little bit as well, so he could have slipped. His pole hit the wall a couple of times and hit the solar panels up there, so that could have unbalanced him. The wind could have pushed him off, and the wall was slippery. So, all these risks, all because he didn't put a safety harness on. Now, a safety harness here is about 25-30 euros. Connect the safety harness up to the leg of the solar panels or something, and he would have been safe, and he could have been doing all of this safely in just minutes. But no, he chose to do it without, and he got away with it this time. So people saying, oh, it's health and safety doesn't exist in Spain, but let me just tell you, I bought a plot of land here and built my own house, as most of you know, and the health and safety here is really, really strict in Spain now. And there are some major fines for the owners if you're having people do work on your house. Now, when I had my plot of land here, as soon as I bought the plot of land, my architect told me to quickly put up a fence. It had to be a 2-metre fence all the way round the property. This cost me €3,000 to put the fence up, and it had to have a lock on it, which is a padlock at the time. If somebody had walked across the plot of land which had nothing on it, it was just plain flat dirt, if someone had walked across it and tripped over a blade of grass and broken a bone or injured themselves in any way at all, as the owner of that plot of land, I am responsible for their medical bills for life, because I haven't taken proper health and safety standards. Now, it sounds crazy, and it could have been a freak accident, but it's true. That's what it's like here now. Also, I had a file, it was about 2 inches thick, before I had to get this file done by the health and safety people here, on all the rules and regulations that my workers here had to follow throughout the building process, and they were horrendous amounts. You couldn't work off platforms more than 2 metres high, and you had to have harnesses on for this and that and the other, and safety hats and gloves and goggles to be worn, even though it was 100 degrees here at times, fluorescent jackets and cordon off things. Honestly, guys, I'll tell you, it was unbelievable, the amount of health and safety. And I had 3 inspections here, all off the cuff. They just turn up when they want. And if at any time any of the guys here didn't have the correct papers, they didn't have the correct safety equipment on, they could have shut down the building. I could have been fined for each person that was creating a fence. Now, at one time there was 12 people working here, all with gloves on, safety hats, things like that. If any of them were in danger at all, the health and safety guy could have shut the building down until there was an investigation, and that takes months. Imagine what that could have been done for the build project here. And also fines for each individual offence. So people say health and safety doesn't exist here. I've seen these stories. I've seen the people hanging over buildings before. I've seen people working off scaffolding with not the proper equipment. And I know it goes on here a lot in Spain, but there is a very strict health and safety code here now in Spain, and they do enforce it. And if there was ever any accident, it's you, the house owner, the homeowner. Just imagine if you had an electrician or a plumber come to do some work in your house, and he stepped up on a chair and stood up on the unit just to reach up on top of the unit to do a pipe or a cable or something, some simple job. If he slipped and he wasn't using the proper safety equipment or the proper step ladder, things like that, not only has he had an accident, but you're the responsible. You employed him. You, the homeowner, have him in your house. You're responsible for making sure that he takes the proper safety measures. And if he has an accident, say he slips and breaks his leg or something, or he can't work for a few days, he can sue you. He can sue you for not checking that he had the proper safety equipment. he can sue you. It's crazy here, but you really need to be careful and take proper precautions here in Spain. People say, "Oh, don't worry, you're just going to step up on the ladder," but you need to warn him. At least say, "Look, you should do this and should do that." Then you're covering yourself. If he takes the risk, there's only so much you can do. But trust me, going through all the building works here, it is really a nightmare here in Spain, and I know it's very inconvenient to check all this all the time. And even so, some of the times I let things go. I made out I didn't notice it when people are doing dangerous things here. But you are responsible at the end of the day. You, the homeowner, are responsible for this. I've looked into it a lot. I've had briefings from my health and safety people here and everything. Do you know, one day the health and safety inspector turned up at the gate, and it was one of the days we had the gate locked. Most of the time it was open, and he had his clipboard in his hand, and he had a hard hat on. He had a yellow fluorescent jacket and all the proper gear, and he turned up at the door, and I said hello, and he said, "Oh, we want to come in and do an inspection." And I said, "Oh," and I looked down at him, and he had a pair of normal tennis shoes on. He didn't have health and safety boots. And being English, as a bit of an English joke, I said, "Not with them boots, you're not," in Spanish. He was obviously Spanish. I spoke Spanish to him. I said, "Not in them boots, you can't." He looked down at his boots, and he said, "What?" And I said, "They're not health and safety boots." This is to the health and safety officer, remember. And he looked at his shoes, and he realised that he didn't have his health and safety boots on. And he went, "Oh, okay." And he walked away, got back in his car, and went away. And when I told my architect I turned him away, he said, "Good for you." And anyway, this guy came back about 3 or 4 days later for an inspection. We were ready for him. We knew he was coming because he was doing the rounds here. And he had his boots on. And he looked down at me, and I let him in, and he walked around, and he was quite impressed that we had hazard tape up and things like that, So, but they do check here in Spain, and they've even got drones out now. So, these health and safety people, I've seen them with their drones, and they send the drone up before they get near the building or work that's being done, and they check out if the guys are working properly or what they're doing. There was a guy, my neighbour was doing some work here a little while ago, and they had the health and safety up, and they told him he's got 5 minutes to change all the cables, because they had people working near the swimming pool with electric cables, and they could have pulled the cable into the water. And he said, "If you don't do it now, I'm going to shut the job down." And it was just a simple thing of moving the cables and making sure they were supported. These guys were working on a back wall, and they had extension leads all over the place, and they were right near the swimming pool. So, it's common sense. It is inconvenient, but trust me, health and safety is a big thing here in Spain, and you need to protect yourself. If these workers want to take stupid risks, that's up to them. But make sure you're covered by telling them and making sure that they understand that you need to warn them, So, yeah, health and safety does exist here, and the guy got away with it, painting the house, hanging over the wall. He got away with it this time. But if he had fallen, all for the sake of a €30 harness, he could be dead, and the owner could end up paying his medical bills, or if he was injured, or any of them below had an injury. So health and safety, it's an inconvenience all over the place, but I've been in construction for more than 30 years. I know what it's like, and I've had my moans up about it as well. But here in Spain, it is a big topic at the moment, and they are placing fines on people for any infringements at all on health and safety rules here. So just be warned and be careful.
If you have enjoyed this podcast by David Wright, then you will love his new books. Out now on Amazon and Kindle, packed with money-saving tips and information on living and working in Spain. Just go to livinginspainbooks.com. David also has a popular blog for expats in Spain. Come and take a look now at britishexpatsinspain.com.